Welcome the students of class 7. Welcome to our e-learning class. And today in this class I am going to revise another subunit from your second chapter, and the name of the chapter is New Kings and Kingdoms, and today's subunit is Administration in the Kingdom. Previous subunit you have read about the new dynasties emerged at the time in Indian subcontinent. Today we are going to discuss about the administration of those kings. So let's begin. That at the time many kings adopted high sounding titles like Maharaja Dhiraja, and the meaning of Maharaja Dhiraja, Overlord of Kings, as well as Tribhuvana Chakravartin. And what is the meaning of Tribhuvana Chakravartin? The meaning of Tribhuvana Chakravartin is Lord of the Worlds. So these titles are actually high sounding, and these titles gave them a lot of respect among the people. So that's why they acquired these titles. So they often shared their power with Samantas. Samantas means the local warrior chiefs, the landlords or the overlord of the region, the local rulers. They often shared their power with the Samantas. And you know that what are the duties they maintained and what are the decorum they had maintained with the big kings. Now, they also maintained their good relations and also shared their power with association of peasants. This is very important because peasants are the main sources of land revenue. So they also made good relations, so they also shared power with association of peasants, as well as with traders and brahmanas. They shared power with traders and brahmanas. Their own organization, those organizations ruled their small administrative territory. So in each of these states, peasants, cattle keepers, artisans persuaded to surrender a part of their produce claimed as rent due to a lord who asserted that he owned the land. And in this case, that in each of these states, the producers, the peasants, the cattle keepers, animal herders, artisans, those made beautiful sculptures as well as utensils, ornaments. So they persuaded to surrender a part of their produce, whatever they had produced, to rent, as a rent due to the Lord. To the Lord, because Lord asserted that he was the owner of the land that they enjoyed. So number 2, the revenue also collected from the traders. They also collected revenue from the traders, those have participated in trading activities on their states. In a Chola inscription, historians have found almost 400 types of taxes mentioned there, and out of them they mentioned some taxes in the book, in your history book. I am mentioning one by one all those taxes. So number 1, it is Vetti. Vetti is a form of forced labor. What is Vetti? Vetti is a tax that was collected. Vetti was a tax that was collected as a form of forced labor. Kadamai, number 2, it is Kadamai. It is a tax. It is collected as land revenue. You know that today also the government collected land revenue from the people of their country. So that time land revenue also collected. It is some portion of the agricultural produce was collected from the peasants. The taxes on thatching the house also collected from that time, and taxes on use of ladder to climb a palm tree. These type of taxes are very undue and they are very funny, sounded very funny. They like cess on succession of family property. So property tax also applied at that time. So this type of taxes such as Vetti, Kadamai, and these type of taxes introduced at that time in the Chola Empire. Now, the resources collected as tax and revenue were used to, number 1, finance king's palace and establishment. That king maintained all his workers, the servants, and he had to make his establishments, his palace, from the resources. Number 2, construction of temples and forts also granted from the royal treasury and the resources collected as revenue. Number 3, to fight wars. The resources also used to fight wars, and the wars help them to acquire wealth from the plunder. It's called booty. So the wealth they acquired through the plunder, it's called booty. It is also benefited the royal treasury and the king. War gave them the access to more lands, and it is also helpful to collect revenue from that lands after the battle. And also it is also helpful to discover the new trade routes. New trade routes also discovered through this military expedition and wars. New trade routes also acquired by them. So these are the uses of the royal treasury and the resources collected by the taxes and revenues. Now, who are the king's men? Kings also appointed various administrators in different parts of their empire, as well as in different small provincial administration. And revenue collectors, those collected those revenues were appointed from influential families, and their position often hereditary. So influential families such as mostly the learned Brahmins and the king's family members, they were appointed as the revenue collectors. And in army also, close relatives of the king held high ranks, and these posts also sometimes hereditary. So the close relatives such as cousin, their in-laws, and their other relatives and their brothers, okay, and their uncles, they actually held the high ranks in their army, in the king's army. This is the entire administration of the kingdom in the 7th to 9th century India. Hope you understood this subunit. Next class we are going to discuss another subunit from your history book. Thank you for watching.